Welcome to Politics and Psychology. I'm Dr. Renee Carr, and please introduce yourself in the chat or on social media. Today we are talking about pedophilia is not funny. This is in response to the Tiffany Haddish and Ariel Spill's pedophile skit that they created a few years ago, but is now experiencing an exposure and often backlash. So before we do, I do want to check in and see how are you feeling today. I really do hope you're having a great day, and I encourage you to do at least one positive thing to take care of yourself and your well-being today. Well, I care about your life. It's also important for us to care about the lives of children, people who groom children for sexual acts, and also people who act out of ignorance and then result in traumatic injury to children. And that brings us to today. Pedophilia is not funny. So let's begin with the background. Approximately 2 weeks ago, or the last week in August, a lawsuit was filed by two individuals, a brother and a sister. The sister is considered Jane Doe and the brother is John Doe because at the time of the incident, the alleged incidents, they were children. The girl was 14 and her brother was 7. The lawsuit claims that the two children were forced to engage in sexually explicit acts for the production of a comedic, quote-unquote, video in which Tiffany Haddish and her co-star Aries Spears were producing. The title of the skit is Through a Pedophile's Eyes. And in no time can I ever imagine going to any comedy or clicking on any comedic video in which pedophilia is a joke. It is not a joke. It is very traumatic. And for individuals to create content, to sit down and create content, to create scenes in which they are using two live children to execute these scenes is very disturbing. And that's why we're talking about it. There are several people who are pushing not only the promotion of childhood sexuality, but by making it a joke, you are doing significant harm to a society in which children should be protected, especially from traumatic sexual experiences, such as this. And in the lawsuit that was filed, it was filed by, again, the sister and the brother. And so at the time of making this video, Through a Pedophile's Eyes, the children are children. They don't really know, hopefully they should not know what to do sexually. And so the sister says that when she was 14, Haddish had gained her trust and helped her to be more comfortable in acting out the scenes, but she was 14, not sexual experience, so she did not know how to perform the skits. And so in one scene, the girls were supposed to act as if they were eating a submarine sandwich, but she was supposed to do it in a very sexualized, graphic way. And because the girl didn't have any point of reference on how to do it, Tiffany then went to show her how to eat the sandwich in a very seductive way. And then she just showed her how to mimic fellatio, which is oral sex on a male. So how to mimic fellatio and how to make sounds, how to make groans, and how to also move her hands in the skit. You also see later in another video, which is a 2013 video of the boy, her brother, in which there is a water gun that's being, like, you know how you push up a water gun, like you're going to reload it for if it was a real automatic rifle. So the little boy is doing that. And so they had made the boy use the rifle as if it was him masturbating with his penis and rubbing the water gun up and down. And when he's doing this through the Eyes of a Pedophile skit, you see the pedophile, who is Aries Spears, playing this character, looking through a newspaper with eyes cut out so that he can watch the child do this. And then you see him obviously become sexually aroused from it. So just from what I'm telling you, is this funny? In what universe is this funny? In what society is this acceptable? And I'm trying to do my best to not let this be acceptable in any situation or any time. Now, in the posting of it, it was uploaded to a site called Funny or Die. Now, the Funny or Die staff did not upload this. This was actually user-generated content, and that was uploaded. Once the company found out that the video was present, they immediately took it down in 2018. And we don't know exactly when it was uploaded, but they did take it down in 2018. And then in a interview with NPR, the spokesman for the company said, Funny or Die found this video absolutely disgusting and would never produce such content. So kudos to the Funny or Die staff. If you also look at the video, which it was very disturbing for me to see, if you have curious eyes, that's definitely out there. The only problem is that the more views that these videos are getting, the more attention that it's getting to promote pedophilia and sex with children. But I was curious. I went to go see it just to make sure for investigative purposes, was it really an act of sexual violence or sexual suggestion. So again, just to review, a civil lawsuit was filed in Los Angeles Superior Court. The female is now 22. Her brother is now 14. And so it was the sister, the older sister, who filed this act. And she filed this lawsuit. And she filed it against Tiffany Haddish and her fellow comedian, Aries Spears. And she's claiming abuse and sexual trauma, and that they are both experiencing social phobias, unable to date, unable to go outside. And even the little boy is saying that he is not able to even have friends, and he's always afraid that someone is watching him. He never knows if someone's watching him or not watching him. And they also did allege that there was actual off-camera molestation that occurred at the hands of Tiffany. I don't know if this is true because I haven't seen any court documents and I haven't been called in to testify or be a witness for the case, but based off of what is seen in the documents, this is what's being alleged. And we can also use the proof of the video itself. So if we go back and look at the 2013 video, this is the video in which the young girl, 14 at the time, is using the submarine sandwich, and she's making noises and trying to use sexual hand gestures to mimic fellatio on a male. And it's also interesting if you look at one of the movies that was a hit movie that made Tiffany Haddish famous was when she was in the Girls Trip video. And in this video, there was a hugely popular scene in which Tiffany is mimicking having oral sex and having the male's penis in a grapefruit, and how to do all these twisting, and how she was being very graphic in the video. And that was a source of comedy for adults, but that would not have been appropriate, obviously, for children, nor is it appropriate to make children enact that scene or a similar scene. So that was the one. If you look in the 2014 video, this is where you'll see the younger brother, which is in another sexually suggestive video, but he's in his underwear. There's also a scene where the little boy is inside of a tub. And then you see the man watching the little boy throughout the house, and he's playing with toys. This is where a little boy is just playing with the gun, but you can tell that he was made to stroke the water gun as if it were a penis. And then the male Aries, the character is being played, he is then becoming sexually aroused by this. So this is what's considered classic grooming behavior. If you have a pedophile, if you have a child molester or a sexual abuser inside the home, you can even have a soccer coach. And what the attacker will do, what the perpetrator will do, is to groom the child. And what grooming means is to give tiny suggestions here and there, do small things, taking one thing further and further and further away to see how comfortable you can get the child to accept your sexual advances or to accept your suggestions to enact in a sexual way on their own, quote unquote. So you're making them think that this is their idea. You're making them think that this is their desire. And this is the key for pedophilia and this huge move in trying to make pedophiles rebrand themselves as minor attracted persons. When you try to say that the person is a minor attracted, you're taking away that you are actually a child rapist and not just attracted. And by adding in persons rather than blatantly calling them a pedophile, you're making where it's a nicer or more socially accepted term, and that these persons have rights. But this is what pedophiles do. They do the grooming by having small acts and small suggestions and making the child think that it's their idea, that it's their okay. And if the child says, well, no, this was not okay, I'm scared, I'm bleeding, I'm hurt, or I'm traumatized, then the pedophile will then say, well, it was your fault. You made me do this, or you liked it, or you wanted it, and you're bad because you did it. And this is what we're seeing in the video. In order for those two children to even know what to do, to know what even gestures to do, whatever sounds to make, an adult had to show them what to do. They were on a video set. They were inside different scenes in the house. And in order for them to know what to do, they had to be instructed. And again, in the lawsuit, the female is alleging that she was instructed how to do these, including movements, noises, moaning, and groaning, quote unquote. So it's very important to understand that pedophilia is not funny because it's not a choice for the child. It is a rape. And to make a joke about it is a great travesty, not only to the career of Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears, but also imagine all the children who have been victimized by sexual abusers, by perpetrators of sexual violence, and random pedophiles in their community. Imagine how they're feeling knowing that people are making jokes about this now. People are making comedic skits about this now. It's very traumatic, and it also causes a re-traumatization of having to go through what the person is going through. So if you have experienced sexual abuse, if you have experienced been the victim of pedophilia or sexual molestation, I do encourage you to get help. If this podcast brought up any episodes and memory of your own traumatic experiences, please don't shut up in the closet or in your room. Go and still get the help that you need, and just check in with your therapist. And if you don't have a therapist, there are plenty of websites and even apps that you can use to check in, including betterhelp.com. And there's plenty of pro bono places in case you don't have any money right now. And if you can't afford a therapist, definitely go see a psychologist who is trained in those areas to actually help you understand the memory and to correct those memories and to take away any blame or responsibility that you are mistakenly taking on for yourself. So again, pedophilia is not funny. It's unfortunate that this video is coming out, but it also highlights the fact that many people think that pedophilia is a choice. Another opportunity for me to say that it's not a choice. It's only a choice for the pedophiles because it's the child who is being raped. And when you sexualize a child, or you make it funny for the child to engage in these acts, or you promote videos of children doing sexual acts, or for you to even sit down and create content in which children are sexualized, all of those are indicators of a type of psychological pathology in which you may be vulnerable to being a sexual predator or having been the victim of a sexual predator yourself. Either way, it's not funny. So that ends our time for today, but please continue the conversation using science and love.
And if you run